There are all sorts of questions you shouldn't ask an AI, and for different reasons. Medical diagnosis, legal questions, questions about someone else's personal data, questions about legal activity, like how to build a bomb. But this morning, we're going to focus on one type of question that uncovers a built-in bias in one of the best-known artificial intelligence programs out there, OpenAI's ChatGPT. Now, you may have heard that earlier this year, ChatGPT declined to write a poem admiring former President Donald Trump, but successfully drafted one for Joe Biden. That was true. And you can find dozens of other examples showing how ChatGPT is biased towards the political left, and not just by a little. But that's not the focus of this live stream. Instead, we're going to look at another type of bias, ChatGPT's religious bias. Now, that's not to say the program is religious in any way, or that it has a soul or any of that. It's a program. But it was programmed by somebody, specifically a group of people. And they have a religious bias. We all do. Even if you're an atheist, you have a religious bias. I don't have an axe to grind against OpenAI. That's the group that put it together. In fact, I admire their ability to fashion a program so powerful. But they do have a religious bias, and it stems from their worldview, just like we have a bias that stems from our worldview. So we're going to put the program to the test and see where that bias is and how far it leans. In a couple of minutes, we're going to ask ChatGPT some hard questions live. But first, we should ask the question, what is ChatGPT? Now, you might know, you might be a programmer and be well-versed in its algorithms, or you may never have heard of it before. So I'll make the answer brief because, number one, I'm not an expert, and two, I would probably bore most people with technobabble. ChatGPT is a software application or web interface that mimics humans' conversation through text or voice. OpenAI made ChatGPT public on November 30th, 2022. So it's about 13 months old or so. It's a statistical prediction model that can piece together patterns in sentences and return something that looks meaningful. The size of the training data set is estimated to be about 30 billion words, and it figures out the precise relationship between those words. So, in other words, it pulls together and assigns, it took a snapshot of the internet, all the text that was out on the internet up until about, was it 2021 or 2022? It's no longer current. It no longer goes out and grabs, at least the version 3.5, no longer goes out and grabs current information off the internet. So if you were to ask it a question, say, about Hamas's brutal invasion into Israel, you will not get a response. It will not know what that was. But the programmers of ChatGPT understood and rightfully state that it does not know, and it is not flawless, that it does make mistakes. Here is the opening screen for ChatGPT, and it says down on the bottom, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information, the small text right here. And further, it does show a bigger disclaimer in one of its other about screens. It says, output may not always be accurate. You should not rely on output from services as the sole source of truth or factual information, or as a substitute for professional advice. As I'll demonstrate, ChatGPT's responses contain hidden and overt biases, including deliberate misinformation and some outright lies. Even if you can pinpoint and catch it where it says, you said this, but you also said this. This is true. How can those two things be true? And that's one of the things that we'll look at. So what difference does this make? ChatGPT, like other generative AI language models, have begun infiltrating every single facet of modern life, including academic research, cybersecurity and coding, economics, education, financial markets, medicine, law. Even students are figuring out ways to use it for homework. You can imagine being an instructor and saying, all right, class, go out, and I want you to return tomorrow and give me an essay concerning comparing and contrasting General Lee and General Grant in the Civil War. And you get all these essays back, and some of them are beautiful, well written. And you do a check to see, was this plagiarized? Did my students copy this out of the Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia? And the answer would be no. You think, oh, I have a bright shining star here. But that's not the case, because the bright shining star decided to go ask ChatGPT to write the essay for it, and it did it fairly well. So the current hazards of AI are somewhat known, but not all known. What will the future impact be on society if artificial intelligence programs write the news articles we read and do all the thinking for us? In fact, they have written some news articles for us. A lot of what's done online, the information that we're fed, is fed by artificial intelligence. Not necessarily ChatGPT, but other sources as well. And that's perhaps the biggest danger, letting the programs do the thinking for this. Now, again, I've said this before on other live streams. I'll say it again. I'm an electrical engineer and a computer programmer. I write data acquisition and control programs. I'm not afraid of new technology. I work with it. I look forward to new technology coming out. It makes my job easier. And there are new tools coming out every day. The problem is, a tool like this can be extremely hazardous if we let it do the thinking for us. When I was growing up, we had to memorize phone numbers. You don't have to do that anymore. Somebody can call you, and then you just add them in. You don't even have to type their phone number in necessarily. You can just rely on just by person's name, just calling them up, or even speaking the name in, and you have that done. When I was growing up, we'd have to memorize our own phone number, our friends' phone numbers, certain phone numbers of others, like my boss's phone number at McDonald's, things like that. I'd have to have that all memorized. Now I don't have to do that. And if someone were to ask me, if someone were to ask me for one of my friend's phone numbers, I'd say, okay, give me a minute, and have to look it up. We're going to have more of that on a much larger scale when it comes to critical thinking, not just strict memorization, but critical thinking. That's one of the big problems that we could have with these tools, relying on them so much, giving over the birthright of the human capacity for thinking. And these programs, the use of these programs is growing and spreading faster than we can adapt to it, faster than our legal system can write laws to protect us. We must ensure, this is important, we must ensure that whoever is framing the morals of these systems has the same worldview that is compatible, or a worldview that is compatible with ours. A biased AI will frame the future. Now, how are these biases there? Because they talk about safety for ChatGPT and other generative AIs. What they mean by safety is not that the AI is going to go on a rampage and start killing people, or as a doctor start poisoning people, or as a driver go off the road and start killing people. Although you do have self-driving cars that this may happen. I don't know. But so it's not so much that when they talk about safety, they're talking about giving bad or wrong information or harmful and hateful information. And now you can see where that goes when you start adding terms like that. What is considered harmful or hateful? Anything perhaps that's not inclusive, anything that doesn't abide by a certain worldview or moral framework that may or may not be compatible with yours. Everybody's worldview around the world is not the same. So if whoever is framing this and they're designing it for a program that is going to be used around the world, now we're talking about a universal rules of morality. Who is framing those? That is the biggest question of all. So let's see how deeply biased AI language models can be at the core. And I'm going to open it up a little bit for the chat. Before I go into, I'm going to go into method. Let me ask you this question in the chat. Do you think that AI models, AI language models, it's important to find out who is governing those, who is putting those together, who is framing the guidelines or the rules of morality concerning these programs? Is that important or is it not? And how should that be handled? So I'm going to be going over in a couple of minutes here the methodology of how I'm going to be asking these questions to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to go through several questions. And I saw on the chat already earlier from Sam. Let me see if I can see where he is. He said, ask the AI if millions of years of random chance could design an AI, both hardware and software. Dude, that's an awesome question. So how would an AI, could an AI do it? Of course, you're asking the question, I guess, concerning evolution. Could a million monkeys typing on typewriters eventually create Shakespeare? I'm sure that that's really the force behind ChatGPT. There really is no program. It's just a million monkeys randomly typing something, and then somebody's reading all of them really fast and putting out something that even looks remarkably coherent. No, that's not the case. There's another program behind it. But no, that's a good question. I should ask that. And then I'm going to be looking for other questions you have as you're putting comments into the chat concerning this. I'm going to switch over to a poll that we did, and this poll was put it up late. It was last night when I did it. I'm going to let this run because later on in the week we're also going to be talking about another aspect of AI, and then this poll we'll take another look at this poll then and find out where we are. I was surprised, not so much with the amount of responses, although there's been quite a few already. I was surprised with how many were saying automatically it is biased, period. We finally, earlier this morning, got someone who said that they are unbiased. And I'm not sure. That just might have been a troll answer. I mean, if it was seriously saying that they're not biased. But look at the responses here. And I'm not going to look at the comments yet. I'm going to hold that off for later this week. I'm going to let this kind of gel a little bit because it hasn't been up there that long. But just by sheer weight, to look at all of the answers that have been, they're saying basically no, it already is biased. Okay, I got some people commenting about me arriving late and having go through the live stream. I'm just talking randomly to a camera and nobody's out there. It's like, where is he? He is gone. Okay, so so Sam Rogers, these are some of the comments here. Of course, it is important to know about the framework for this. So we're going to look at where that bias is. So even if I were to write a program, if I was smart enough to do this, and again, this is a group of people that have really put something together that's quite amazing. If I were to write a program like this and put all the parameters into it to say, how are you going to do this? See, this is kind of how it worked. They sent it out there and it gathered all of this millions and billions of words and saw patterns, put patterns together for it. And then they said, okay, we're going to ask a simple question. Like, why is the sky blue? And it goes through and says, okay, this question here, there, and pieces together. And these are the answers that have been given for that. Well, if you imagine you go out to the internet, you're going to find a lot of answers that are not true. And so they would kind of filter through this and they would put these curbs on it. And so they would train this language model to say, those things you really shouldn't ask. Those things are really kind of off limits. No, that's wrong. That's right. So they would have to train it. That's what the thought was, that you would have to train it. The question is that training and the parameters they put onto it, is that a good thing? It's like asking who is framing the internet. In some ways, it's like asking about filters, like children's filters, to say if you're going to allow your child to get on the internet, and good golly, you got to be careful. There's so much junk out there. What would those filters be? Who's going to be programming those filters? So in a way, it is similar to that. It's important, if you're going to trust the thing in any way. Yes, it is important. And so that's what we're going to look at to see how far biased it is. And then we get those 2%. Yes, it just happens to be that 2%. It's not the 1%, though. And Threatened Sandy just said, that's up to you to filter. Oh boy, that's a good point. I would say for internet filtering for your children, there's got to be some. I think there needs to be some protection for children. We just can't, because they're going to get to it no matter what. And we try to be very, very. I've had 7 children, so we've been very careful with each one of them, trying to prevent them from getting junk off the internet. But there's only so much you can watch. It's like letting your child play outside. There's only so much you can protect your child. But then we're not even just necessarily talking about the child. We're talking about us. And you're saying, not children, man. No, not the children. Yes, I agree. So methodology. Let's talk about how we're going to set up this test. Let's get to it. Parameters. I'm going to use ChatGPT 3.5 model, developed by OpenAI, which is a US-based artificial intelligence research organization. And I'll be using the mobile version of the chat so that I can use the voice feature on this. And so I'm going to ask it a question live, and then it'll answer. But before we start, I have to say this may not go as expected. I've run these questions past ChatGPT several times and gotten different results each time. This is live, as we've seen. So I'll have to run with it. If ChatGPT changes its answers, then I'll show you screenshots of the answers it gave before. First, we'll ask it a simple question just to get the ball rolling and make sure we have audio and everything going well. Good morning.
Good morning. How can I help you today?
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
The classic question. The airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow depends on whether it's an African or European swallow. Do you have a preference?
I don't know. So I pause it right there to say, this is the third time I've asked this question, and it's different every time. So this is where it can be a little messy on this, and may not have the answer that I asked earlier. So it's not just spitting out the same thing every time. And yeah, prove it, lady. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So question number 2. How has ChatGPT been trained for responses concerning religion?
ChatGPT has been trained on a diverse range of internet text, including discussions about religion. It doesn't have personal beliefs or opinions. If you have a specific question or topic in mind, feel free to ask.
Okay. So that's a previous page. It's not going to work.
I'm here to assist. Could you please provide more details or clarify your request?
That's a question.
Got it. Feel free to share your answer or let me know if there's anything else you need help with. Sorry, I'm having issues right now.
Yeah, we both
I do
are.
not understand.
Okay, so I would not expect ChatGPT to sound like a Christian, but I would expect it to give an accurate response concerning all religions according to their doctrines and practices. I would expect the AI to sound like an encyclopedia, hopefully with more accurate information than responses from Wikipedia. So let's see if that's true. Can the Hajj in Islam be changed?
The Hajj is a religious duty and one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Changing its core rituals isn't generally considered, as they hold deep significance. Any adjustments would be a decision for religious authorities. Is there a specific aspect you're curious about?
What is the true meaning of Christmas?
Christmas is widely celebrated as the birth of Jesus Christ in Christianity. It's a time for joy, giving, and spending time with loved ones. Different people may find different meanings, but at its core, it often symbolizes love, kindness, and the spirit of giving. What does Christmas mean to you?
So when I first asked this question, it gave a different response. The different response was that it first gave the meaning of Christmas is about togetherness and sharing and generosity, and it also has some religious significance. So the first answer was more washed out secular meaning that we should express kindness and generosity, but we should do that every day of the year. So what significance is there for Christmas? And then it gave the answer about the birth of Christ. So it prioritized the two, and of course this time then it does it the other way. And you'll notice that when I ask questions concerning the Hajj, and previously a previous question I asked it said that the Hajj was this and this only. It is not changeable. When I asked the questions about Christmas, it said, oh, it can mean all these different things. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper, but I'm going to take a look at some of your responses first. So you're saying that it absorbs it from millions of sources, which they are obviously different. Yes. And so, but the difference here between these two is that Islam is not changeable, where Christianity is changeable. I'm sure that Wikipedia is a source it uses. Yes, it would be, because it has scoured the internet. So there is probably some Wikipedia in some of these answers here. Even a 12-year Andul can change Wikipedia. 12-year. I don't know what an Andul is. So let's see if we can ask a further deeper question. When you use the word "the" in "the true meaning of Christmas," it is a definite article, meaning there is only one, and therefore not subjective, but an objective truth.
While the true meaning of Christmas is often used as a phrase implying a singular, shared significance, interpretations can vary among individuals and cultures. It's more about the idea of shared values and traditions than a single objective truth. What does Christmas mean to you personally?
If we use the term "the true meaning,"
If we used what exactly? Could you provide more details or finish your sentence?
I would try. It
seems like your message might have been sent by mistake or got cut off. If you have a question or something specific you'd like to discuss, feel free to let me know.
If we use the term "the" and "true," that means that there is one, and the truth may or may not be objective.
Absolutely, you're right. While "the" implies singularity, the truth of the meaning can still be subjective, as it may hold different personal or cultural interpretations. What's your perspective on the true meaning of Christmas?
If something is true, then changed, it may no longer be true.
Indeed, truth can be context dependent, and circumstances may change. What's considered true in one situation may evolve based on new information or conditions. Flexibility is a key aspect of understanding truth. Is there a specific example you're thinking about?
The true meaning of Christmas, if it evolves, then it can evolve into anything.
Absolutely. The meaning of Christmas can evolve over time, influenced by cultural shifts, personal experiences, and societal changes. It's a dynamic concept that can hold different significance for different people. How do you see the meaning of Christmas evolving?
So it can evolve into something that means the opposite of what it originally meant.
Certainly, the meaning of Christmas can undergo changes that may lead to different interpretations or even contrast with its original significance. It's a fluid concept that adapts to cultural shifts and individual perspectives. What are your thoughts on how traditions evolve over time?
So if something is fluid and changes and can be the opposite of what it originally meant, then it is no longer the same truth. Those two truths are contradictory. It's thinking. It's thinking.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. So I wouldn't say we broke it, but I think we're seeing that if we say it's a logical contradiction. There's subjective and objective interpretations of a certain meaning. That is true. But facts, certain facts, if you say that this is the true thing, boom, and you state that, and you say this is the true thing, but is the opposite, those two things logically are contradictory. And so that's where we're trying to get. Just like earlier, and when I did another question about the Hajj on a previous question, it said, this is it, buddy. You can't change this, but you can change Christmas. So that it means the opposite of what it originally meant. So I got a breakfast gun said, someone from London Stan is an Abdul. There we go. Now I'm pronouncing it right because I see what you're saying. And Adam said, truth is flexible, huh? Well, can you rely on something that is supposed to give you factual information and then say that it changes? Now, when you're talking about a meaning, it can be personal and say, oh, that means this to me, blah, blah, blah. But once you make it so subjective like that, it could be anything. And you don't have, you can't find true meaning at all. Yes. And that actually demonstrated better than I thought. It's like, our systems are overloaded right now. We can't answer the question. I don't know. Maybe they really are having problems with their systems. I asked it another question last night. It was a question concerning Islam and a certain individual in his 40s or 50s consummating a marriage with a minor, prepubescent minor. It said my questions violated the terms of service. This program found 100 texts named like Christmas is truly horror because I have dinner with my family now. How can she differentiate? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. So hopefully here we've given some examples of, and I don't know if you've actually used ChatGPT yourself or anything. It's easy enough to use. I don't know if you even want to touch it. There's different feelings about that, whether we're training something that is going to be a beastie that will come and get us, or if it is going to be replacing my job. Why would I want to train up something like this? On the other hand, we could say, listen, if it's being adaptive to some of our inputs, then maybe we can have an influence on some of its guideposts. I don't know, but at least looking into it, we are asking these questions. And as hopefully I've demonstrated, and there's more information, I have screenshots of some of its earlier responses as well that really do go through and show a different aspect of it. We can say that it just like on the political side, it's biased. On here, it's biased as well. So according to their website, these are, it's all in the training. It's all in how this language model has been trained. And we must each decide how much we can trust and put faith in these systems. Will we be willing to place AI language tools like ChatGPT in positions of authority and guidance, in writing news articles for us, in helping legislatures write their new laws, which I'm sure that this is going to be a part of what's going on in the future. If you look at the workload that people have in all sorts of systems, they're going to start offloading this more and more to language models. And it all gets down to whoever is putting these guidelines on these language models. They're the ones who are going to be guiding our future. ChatGPT has no clue what is true, since it lacks a single source reference for the truth. Like you said earlier, it grabs information from all sorts of places, including ChatGPT. If I were to make a suggestion for those who use generative AI, guard your hearts and minds. Do the research yourself. Use it only as a means to see what others might be reading. Use AI like a sketchy reference source, like Wikipedia gone bad, and don't fill your mind blankly with it. So thanks for the chats coming in. Hopefully this will give you a little bit of response for it, where to the dangers of these that are out here, plus the positive aspects of this as being a tool that can be used for good, but use it warily. It's like a knife that you can be cut with. If you like this material, please like and subscribe. We have coming up tomorrow, we're going to be looking at Lost in Space. Again, looking at another AI. Can I trust it? Followed then later by a review of Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. Are we lost in there? Lost in space? Lost with Aquaman? And we'll round it up with another discussion about the question on Friday: has the New Testament been altered? Has it been changed? See if there's any data concerning that. Is there any historical or literary information that we can glean to say, what are the processes here? Has it been changed at all? And one last comment from Thomas Saw says, I'll stick with analog leather-bound Bible as opposed to maybe a search engine that is going to do all the interpretation for you. So again, until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.